It's the beginning of a new era in AI. AI has been here for long before, and there will be new eras later. But this is a new one opening up, and ChatGPT is really the technology becoming in the hands of the broad public. Mm-hmm. And that means that new applications can be developed on it, and it opens up productization. It opens up new innovation on the back of it. And in these rather gloomy times, when people are unsure, will there be a recession? How bad will it be? It opens up a whole new, very positive outlook for investments.
So let's talk about what this means for deal making, because AI isn't something that you can just do overnight, right? No. So all of these companies have been working on their technology for years and years and years. Microsoft went a little bit more public with it because they did this very public investment into OpenAI, the owner of ChatGPT. Yeah. Why is this deal making all happening now?
It's overnight success, as we say, that take a long time to get there. As you say, it takes a very long time to develop those technologies. But then you have layers of products around it. In that case, the chat makes it easy to be used. And then it opens up more publicity for other innovations that have been a long term in the making, as well as maybe smaller iteration, maybe not groundbreaking AI innovation, but smaller iterations, and that can revive the interest, both in terms of investments, but also for M&A. In the case of Microsoft, what they did is effectively externalize the research, right? And that worked really well for them. Sometimes it works a bit differently for other companies, but they recognize that maybe smaller, more agile companies could bring more innovation.
I think your point about externalizing the research is really interesting, because doesn't that also mean that that phenomenon will favor the incumbents, or at least the incumbents that have the cash to go out and acquire some of these startups?
And it's just a very healthy dynamic. Because if you have prospects of being acquired later, that means that investors, VCs, will be confident investing in you today, because that makes their investment more liquid. Either you become the massive company, you go for the listing and all of this, but you have several paths along the ways where you could be acquired either for your team or for the beginning of the research. And as you grow, you have several exit routes. And that's what's really exciting.
And actually, that was what was missing throughout most of 2022, because we saw IPO activity dry up. And so all of a sudden now there is a passageway, at least for AI companies, you're saying?
Yes. To be fair, AI, M&A in general, has been very active. It's slowing down now, but if you look at the most attractive parts of tech, which is AI and cyber, you have a lot of activity in M&A, as we've seen with our clients. Sometimes it's very fast-paced. Maybe in 21, 22, it was faster paced, and what we've seen now is it takes longer time, but the interest is definitely there.
And what about the geopolitical race? Because we have our tech correspondent, Arjun Karpal, who was on the show a couple of days ago, and he was saying that China themselves are also trying to come up with their own generative AI technology. Yes. Where do they stand versus the US right now?
It's incredibly important to have different competing models. Not just from a geopolitical perspective, but just from a healthy technology development. Geopolitics enter definitely the picture, as well as if you think in terms of languages. Right now, all we see is mostly focused on English language, but then you have hundreds of other languages, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's just very, very early days.
And one final question, just to round things up. We started off broad, so I'm going to go back broad again. What is your outlook for tech going into 2023? I know, it is a very broad question given the pullback and a lot of the idiosyncratic stories that we've had, but people talk to the fact that valuations have come off a little bit, could be attractive if you still believe in the growth story, but the operative word there is the growth story. Is there still going to be growth? Because you see things that have been growing quite rapidly the last couple of years, like cloud computing, and we are seeing a moderation there.
That's true. I believe it's all in explaining the strengths of your foundations so that you build optionality. We talked about it in terms of M&A, in terms of investments, the same. So it's not necessarily a bad thing we went back to profitability in terms of focus, but now it's building back that growth element and just be very strong on those foundations.
Yeah.